I feel like, I want to manifest big things in this life. I want to do amazing things in this life.
Then do them. Nothing is stopping you.
That's my question. What I want.
What you want?
What I want to, the platform that I want to be able to use my creativity and my life purpose.
What you prefer to do, how you prefer to express yourself?
Yes, and I would like to be sustained financially.
Why wouldn't you be?
That's my question.
Do you understand what we mean when we talk about the idea of the formula and the complete kit of excitement and how it works? Or do you need a refresher?
Oh, okay.
So that means no, you don't understand it.
I would like clarity on...
All right, here are the 11 elements. Are you ready?
Okay.
The first part contains 3 elements. Number 1, you act on anything that contains more excitement than anything else, any other option. Number 2, to the best of your ability, taking it as far as you can until you can take it no further. Number 3, with absolutely zero insistence or assumption on what the outcome ought to be. 1, 2, 3. That's the first part of the formula. The next part is the toolkit. And when you use that 3-part formula of acting on your highest excitement to the best of your ability with no insistence on a particular outcome, you activate the kit, which contains everything you need to be supported in your life, no matter in what form it may come. It becomes the driving engine of your life that moves you forward through life. It becomes the organizing principle in your life that demonstrates through synchronicity exactly what you need to do, when you need to do it, with whom you need to do it, where you need to do it. It becomes the path of least resistance in your life that allows you to flow through your life in the easiest possible way. It becomes the path that connects to all other expressions of your excitement that are in alignment with your true vibration. Even though they may all look very different, it's the excitement that tells you they're connected, not how they look on the surface. And the final tool, it is the reflective mirror that reveals to you anything within your unconscious mind that might be out of alignment with your excitement, so that you can make it conscious, redefine it, and add its energy to the momentum of your excitement. Once that kit is working for you in that way, the only thing left to do is that when any circumstance or situation arises based on the actions you've taken with your excitement, whatever they may be, you then have the choice in the face of that circumstance to define it positively and get a beneficial effect, or define it negatively and get a negative effect. That's it. So when you say, I want to do this, I want to be financially supported, if you understand the kit, the mechanism, how it works, how this formula works, what you really are saying is, I prefer to act on my highest excitement to the best of my ability with no insistence on a particular outcome, because if I do, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt I will be supported in whatever form of abundance is actually most synchronous, most representative of the path of least resistance. No matter how it looks, it is the correct form. And I will not insist on my abundance appearing only in one form, because I know that if I do, I'm actually closing the door through which other forms of abundance might come. And therefore, whatever circumstance or situation crops up when I take these actions, knowing that the kit is serving and supporting me in the way that it needs to, may not always be the way my ego wants it to, but I know it's the way that I need it to be most representative of who I am, then I will always choose to define the circumstance that arises therefrom in the most positive way possible, because that's what I prefer. And it doesn't matter how the situation may have been generated, and it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks about it. It doesn't matter what anyone else's opinion is in that circumstance. I choose that every circumstance that crops up from my actions serves me in a positive way. And then I know that even if I can't always fathom exactly how that's going to look, it's always going to work out to my benefit. Period. That's the equation. That's how it works. It works flawlessly for everyone, including you. It's always working. It's just that many of you may be filling it with definitions that are out of alignment with who you truly are, and therefore it seems to not be working. But in fact, it's actually working by churning out circumstances and situations that are completely representative of the definitions that you feed it. So negative definition in, negative experience out. It seems to not be working, but it is. It's supporting your negative definition. Make sense? Mm-hmm. So if the mechanism is capable of supporting your negative definitions, it is certainly capable of supporting the positive ones. It's up to you to decide how you want to use the machine, how you want to use the tools. You can pick up a hammer and you can say, I'm going to drive this nail into the board. But if you're using the wooden end of the hammer, it's going to be quite a bit more challenging. When you understand how to use the tool, you'll turn the hammer around, hit the nail on the head, and in one stroke, it's in the board. So, if it's taking more than one or a few strokes, that's your first clue you're using the wrong end of the hammer. Turn it around. Understand the mechanism. Have a clearer definition of the mechanism, and you will see that it is working for you, but it's working for you in a way you don't prefer because that's what you're feeding it. Does that make sense?
And feeding it through my thoughts.
Through your beliefs,
My beliefs.
Your definitions. All thoughts, all behavior, all feelings come from a definition first. That's the fundamental. That's the foundational. If you don't have a definition for something, you have no idea how to feel about it or what to think about it. You understand? So when you have a thought, when you have a behavior, when you have a feeling, that should be your first clue that you must somewhere within your unconscious mind have a definition you're unaware of that is generating the feeling. So you can use the feeling to trace it back to what kind of definition you would have to generate that kind of feeling, that kind of thought, that kind of behavior. And then you can clarify the definition if you discover that the definition doesn't work for you, isn't aligned with what you prefer it to be. And when you change the definition, you will change your feelings, you will change your thoughts, you will change your behaviors. All this takes is a clear understanding of how the mechanism of creation works. Yes?
Changing my definition by perhaps
Well,
affirming
you have to find out what the definition is first. And when you identify a definition that's actually out of alignment with your true frequency, it will automatically appear nonsensical and illogical, and you'll drop it. If you don't drop it, you haven't found the core definition. Keep digging. But when you find it and let it go, then it is automatically replaced by the polar definition that is the definition you prefer. Have you heard us give an example of this?
I believe so, but
Since you brought up the idea of finance, it is a common example that we use. You are raised on your planet with contradictory definitions. You are taught if you're not making a lot of money, you're not successful. Simultaneously, you're taught the love of money is the root of all evil. How do you reconcile those contradictory definitions within yourself? One day you may suddenly realize, wait a minute. I don't have to believe that if I attract a lot of abundance and wealth that I automatically have to be an evil person. That's nonsensical. But I've had those two things linked. And therefore, if it's more important to you to be a good person and you really believe that attracting wealth will automatically somehow corrupt you, then you will do everything in your power to keep abundance away. But when you detach those beliefs from one another and go, it is not an automatic truth that being abundant makes me a bad person. That's nonsensical. then you are free from that definition.
So to discover those core beliefs,
You have to ask yourself, based on what you're feeling, based on what you're experiencing, based on what you're thinking, based on your behavior, what would I have to believe is true about myself in relation to this situation in order to generate this experience, this feeling, the way I am? If you're willing to find the answer will come. Or you can ask it from the opposite end, which works for many of you a little bit more strongly. If I did in fact choose to move forward in the direction of what I say I prefer, what I say excites me, what am I terrified might happen? Usually when you ask it that way, the negative definition will reveal itself. If you're willing to be honest and you're not afraid to hear the answer. Make sense? Mm-hmm. Is this helping?
Yes, thank you.
So, in acting on your excitement, which actually simply means acting on anything at any moment that contains more excitement than anything else, doesn't have to express itself as a project or a career. But if you already know something that you prefer to do, what's holding you back from doing it? And what is it? Can you give us an example of what you would prefer to be doing in your life that you're not choosing to do?
I would like to be, oh God, generalizing, I would like to be supported through my...
No.
I would like to be...
You're working at this backwards. What would you prefer to be doing that you're not doing for one reason or another? We'll get to the reasons later that you're creating. But what would you prefer to be doing that you're not doing?
I am acting, I am doing TV, but I would like to be doing it on a bigger, grander scale.
What does that mean?
Making more money at it. And so that I have freedom. So I have
you?
freedom. So I'd like to be able...
So you're equating having more money with freedom.
Yes.
Can you allow yourself to know that you can be free first, and that will attract whatever form of abundance you need in order to continue to be free? It may not always come in the form of money.
Right. I do feel that most of the time.
Well, what are the times that you choose not to, and why is that different?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Well, figure it out.
Do I do that through hypnosis, through
You
tapping?
can do it however you wish, but it can be as simple as asking yourself the question that I just asked you. What are you defining as different between the times you don't feel you're doing that and the times you do? What difference are you defining there? Why is that different than this?
And once I come up with that answer...
Why, I'm asking you right now, what's the difference between when you allow yourself to feel free and are attracting what you need and the times that you don't? What's the difference you're defining there between this and that?
I'm sorry, I'm coming up with a blank. So...
All right, let's start again. You have said that there are times when you allow yourself to feel completely free. Yes? And things flow and things seem to work. Yes?
Yes.
And you attract whatever you need in whatever form it needs to come. Yes?
Yes.
So, now, pick an example of a time when that doesn't seem to work, or a circumstance that doesn't seem to work in. Have you got one?
Yes.
What's the difference between that circumstance and the one in which you allow yourself to experience freedom? What's the difference in definition for you?
Anxiety and fear and knowing and...
But why do those come up? Because we've already told you that anxiety and fear, being emotions, are being generated by something you're defining to be true. So obviously when you're feeling freedom, you have a very different definition of yourself in the relationship to that experience. But when you're feeling anxiety and fear, that's telling you have a very different definition of yourself in that particular circumstance. So what's different about that circumstance that suddenly makes it seem like you need to define yourself differently in relation to that circumstance than you do in the circumstance where you allow yourself to feel free? What's the difference in how you define yourself in those circumstances? Is one something you believe, I can handle this, no problemo? And the other one, I'm not sure I'm up to this. I'm not sure I deserve it. I'm not sure I'm worthy. Is that the difference? Mm-hmm. Why do you choose to buy into that? If you don't buy into it here, what makes this circumstance so different that you believe you can't handle it? How are you defining it to be so different than the circumstance in which you are free? Can you describe the difference? What makes this seem daunting and this not?
Repetitive pattern, what I know, what the story, what I've done.
Repetitive pattern.
What
Do you understand our definition of habit and pattern?
Oh, God.
A habit and a pattern is something that you do that you don't know you're doing. If you know you're doing it, it's not a habit anymore, it's a choice.
Yes.
You can't blame repetition and pattern and habit on you continuing to choose something you don't prefer. The only reason you would choose a state of being you don't prefer is because you've attached a definition to that thing that makes it seem scarier to go forward on the thing you prefer than simply remaining where you are. You need to find the definition you've attached to the thing you prefer that makes it appear to be the thing you don't prefer. You need to find that definition in much the same way as the example we gave. When you understand that you have a negative definition attached as an example to the idea of attracting wealth, you will realize that that's ridiculous and nonsensical, and you will no longer buy into the definition that being abundant means you have to be a bad person. So you need to find for yourself in this circumstance the definition you've attached to the thing that you prefer that suddenly somehow makes it seem to be the thing to avoid. What are you afraid will happen if you actually move forward in your dream?
The fear of success.
What does that mean to you?
That
What are you afraid will happen if you are, in your terms, successful?
I will be used.
By whom?
People.
By people. How?
As a vehicle for themselves.
Do you recognize that you have to agree to be used?
Yes, I do.
So are you saying that if someone comes along who offers you an opportunity to be used in a way that you don't prefer, you're going to go along with that?
Not now. No.
All right, so what is there to be afraid of?
Exactly.
Then
I want to move past this.
Then move past it.
Then
if
I've
you
moved past
understand that you would only experience that by choice, and you know you don't prefer to choose it, then move forward. Knowing that even if for a brief amount of time you temporarily choose to give up your power and experience the idea of being used, that you will always be capable of reminding yourself that it was your choice to match that frequency and that you can always change it.
Okay.
Because you will know it's not a habit, it's a choice.
So just remind myself.
Why not?
Okay.
Do you have the ability to remind yourself of what you prefer?
I sure do.
Then what's the problem?
Exactly.
You are making a mountain out of a molehill.
I know.
So, let's move the mountain.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
All right. And flatten it out into that infinite plane that will allow you to expand at an accelerated rate. And remember, you're never alone in this. You always have help. Yes?
Yes, thank you. And that's my quick question.
Yes.
I can talk to you every day. I can also
You can talk to your own higher mind every day, which is what you're doing right now, using us as a mask and an excuse to do so.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, yes, if it helps you to use us as a permission slip and say, what would Bashar say? Then by all means do that if it helps. And we are happy to be a reflective permission slip for you. But understand that who you're actually conversing with is your own higher mind. Yes?
Yes.
Does that help you?
Thank you so much.
You are so welcome.